What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of the deluxe edition of California by BLINK-182, the long-running pop, punk, and alternative rock band. Now before we get started today, I just want to remind you guys that I do have a merch shop. That's a great way, along with my Patreon, to help support the channels. It's the second link in the description down below if you would like to go get some ARTV merch for yourself. So what are BLINK-182 doing back already? As recently as last year, they released a full-length album called California. Why do we have a deluxe edition, and exactly what does it entail? Well, it's not just one of those crappy deluxe editions where we get 2 new songs and 8 acoustic renditions that just everybody was clearly dying for. No, this is actually something where we've got 12 songs, 11 of them, technically 10 being brand new. Hey, I'm Sorry was an overseas bonus track originally. Now with this new material, I will say this, a lot of it definitely does stray from California, but some of it definitely fits with that theme. And overall, I was kind of drawn to that record for repeated listens. The initial listen of California, for me, the standard track listing, was solid, but definitely lacking something. I felt like they could have had a better chemistry with their newest member, Matt Skiba. And now that they've had this deluxe edition, some more time in the studio, I really feel like they've banged something out that sounds unique to them. In 2017, what is BLINK-182 now? Instead of just this, oh, let's get back to the pop-punk formula, they've actually taken a few risks here. And while some of the tracks definitely play it safe, those are probably my least favorites. The ones that just try to be BLINK-182. The ones that don't and actually try new areas of rock, those are the winners. My review and rating today are going to be solely for the deluxe edition of this record, so if you want to see my review of California, there's going to be a link in the description down below, or else there will be an annotation that you can tap on screen at the end of the video. But all in all, I'll sum it up for you like this. I liked the album, it definitely had replay factor to it, and I've been coming back to it steadily throughout the past 6 or 8 or 10 months, however long it's been since the original record dropped. It's got staying power to it, and I like that. There's stamina in the songs, and some of them really do get kind of earwormy with time. Some of the ones that I didn't even like that much at first have definitely grown on me and worked their way into my heart. So I definitely went into California Deluxe with an open mind, hoping that there would be some great tracks here. But then I heard Parking Lot. This was after I heard that they were working on deluxe edition of California. Travis Barker pretty much confirmed to K-Rock, and then the other guys were going around saying, yeah, we've got new songs, but the problem is that they might even be better than California, but we're trying some new things here. And while I was a little bit hesitant and scared, especially after hearing Parking Lot, which just felt safe, I love the riff on that one. It slammed. The song goes hard musically, and I love that. It's a ton of fun, but the lyrics are just na-na-nas, name-checking some bands that you listened to back in the day, like Matt Skiba and Mark Hoppus did on San Diego, you know, so we can go listen to The Cure. They even said Parking Lot in San Diego. And then again, we're getting that here. It just felt like a leftover from those sessions. And while some of these songs were recorded during that time frame, I love that they actually re-recorded some of them. Like I believe Hey, I'm Sorry, this is a new and updated version if I'm not mistaken. And some of these other tracks, I believe 5 of them, including the live acoustic version of Bored to Death, have been done recently. So that's cool. We get to see what mindset that they're in after dropping California, after seeing the reception to that as a band and building upon that. And for the most part, I'll say that they came out swinging. They did a good job. They did cut down on the na-na-nas, and now I feel like it's more leaning to the oh and the oh and that sort of thing, especially Matt Skiba in the background. I hate that they've kind of limited him to that, it seems like, in some places. I mean, he definitely shines. Like Parking Lot, that's pretty much his track, and that is one thing that I love about it. He has a commanding authority behind the mic on that song. Definitely a presence that feels like more of an almost Alkaline Trio leaning moment. And Misery does that as well. It's a great combination of those two styles. BLINK-182 meets Alkaline Trio when worlds collide. But then we come across our moments where he's just the backing guy that's singing those na-na-na, whoa, oh moments that just get old. I mean, at this point, it's almost become a meme. How many times they do it, everybody's talking about it, and even Mark Hoppus said on Twitter that John Feldmann, their producer, makes him sing them. You might have already heard me talk about a few of these songs over on my second channel, Beyond ARTV, but I'm gonna go over them again just to give updated opinions and takes for all of those who didn't see those videos. And I also obviously want to get down to the brand new content that we have, what I'm loving, what I'm kind of meh on, and what worked the best here for Blink on the deluxe edition. So the pre-release singles were really stacking up. In fact, we had about half of the deluxe edition of the album before it even dropped, from Can't Get You More Pregnant, the joke song, which, yes, yes, is funny. Yes, kind of wasted a good riff on a joke song, and at the same time, I can't help but laugh. It's funny, it's Blink, but at the same time, there was only one here, and it was kind of thrown in as like the final song. I don't really count Bored to Death acoustic just because that song was so big. Obviously, they probably wanted to include an acoustic version to entice people to come check out the Deluxe as well. I don't count that. I count Can't Get You More Pregnant as the closing moment, and as a Finn moment, I don't really think it does it justice. I would have loved to have seen Bottom of the Ocean close this thing out. But from those joke songs to the darker tendencies to the Tom DeLonge references and him departing the band and some of the more cynical lyrical content, once again, I think this record really touches on a lot of different things and gets past the tropes of like Parking Lot. And some of the moments are kind of weighed down with the melodrama, like on Don't Mean Anything. It seems like they're both talking about their parents here. They're writing from the perspective of like talking to mom, talking to dad. I don't really care for the verses, but then the chorus really kicks in on that track, and that's something that I'm kind of seeing with a handful of these songs here. It's like they've got kind of weak verses where they fall into the same old routine, you know, Blink-182, almost always right in that 4x4 time signature, and things just move at a very predictable pace, and that's why I feel disinterested in moments like Don't Mean Anything until they get to the chorus, where things really do pick up, and I do like the singing style, especially the way that they kind of drop off at the end of the sentence there. It reminds me of the 2000s in a very, very good way. The chorus is phenomenal, and it's making me love the rest of the song even more. Calling back to Blink's older sound, we've got stuff like Good Old Days and Long Lost Feeling, songs that I like well enough and all, but I just feel like they do fall into these lyrical cliches. But Long Lost Feeling, I do feel like kind of breaks out of it. I really like that guitar. It definitely reminds me of something like maybe Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, even some of the Untitled record, and of course the California vibes. Once again, it's continuing that. And the skittering drum beats from Travis Barker are really, really cool. And I like all throughout this Deluxe project how he really did add in some new flair here. It's not just your typical punk drumming all the time, although there are some electrifying beats that I absolutely love. He mixes it up. I really like his drumming on Misery in particular. Don't Mean Anything is really something that helps take that song to the next level because of the beats from Barker on this thing. And then Bottom of the Ocean, where he really challenges himself by playing an electronic kit, it seems, doing some programmed drums along with live drumming during the chorus. Can we just talk about that song for a second, please? Because it is fucking fantastic. I love this moment. It stands out like an atom bomb here. It really goes off at the end. I wish it went out on this note instead of Can't Get You More Pregnant. It should have been more like Built This Pool, where they had the joke song in the middle, but then they of course went out on Bohemian Rhapsody, which kind of threw it off for me, but at the same time, that's fine. Maybe I will just save certain songs or make a playlist on Spotify and have this be the closing moment because I feel like it deserves that. It is a dark song, just like Misery. I loved Misery because it goes into detail of this toxic relationship that it is falling apart in front of them, and Skiba sounds so good. He owns the vocals on that track. And then the backing vocals from him and the way he belts it out on the chorus, he teams up with Hoppus to make the perfect combination. And I do feel like it feels a bit similar to Bored to Death in a way. My buddy over at Spin It Reviews pointed that out. But I also feel like they tried to replicate that a lot more strongly on some of these other moments, and it definitely stands out in some of the wah-ohs and kind of the downtrodden bridges where they sing just like on Bored to Death. I don't know. I think that's probably my least favorite part about Misery is the bridge of the track, but it kicks back in, and the way that Skiba practically yells, "I don't need anyone," at the end of that song, the way that he progresses throughout that song in the vocal performance, it's fantastic. But getting back to Bottom of the Ocean, that moment is just a hell of a ride. I like how it starts off so dark, synth-driven, and it's kind of almost like you slip into this dark atmosphere. I don't know exactly like what we're coming out of, maybe like a drunken haze, a hangover or something like that. He sings leading up to the pre-chorus, and then those programmed drums start to come in, and it's almost like building up to a drop, and I love the way that they kick in. It actually sounds kick-ass for Blink-182. Something different, something more modern and sleek, but at the same time, it's not throwing away their influences and where they came from. It's just adding on extra layers because that live drumming and those loud guitars mix with the electronic swell, and it pays off so well. This song is huge, and I hope it is a hit for Blink. It comes through with really everything that you could want, all the momentum and those lyrics that I was talking about. It really just seems like he's almost losing his mind a little bit, and I feel like that's a recurring theme all throughout this record, especially like I was just talking about on that song Misery. I think Skiba in particular really just comes across dark there. All those screams in the background of that track. This song needs something, he's screaming. I can't say the F word too much because of the old advertiser-friendly rules, but you know what I mean. It's just kind of a dark, new wavy club from the 80s vibe, especially as those dark synthesizers creep up during the second verse. They really just control the whole song. And then that bass line shifts in, and it's ace. It's the ace up their sleeve on this record, and it's damn great. Another moment that I have to commend because I cannot get the riff out of my head. They just play in such a different style with their guitar here. It's called Last Train Home. I like how he really just slides up and down the scale on this one, and it's not just the typical riffing like you get on a Blink-182 track, and that does get old for me at times. Even as a massive Blink-182 fan, sometimes I'm like, I wish that they would throw something else into the mix. And we got some of that on California. Like the title track, for example, I thought was great because it added in a drum machine and also the live drumming, but it didn't take away from who they were, like I just said about Bottom of the Ocean. And here on this track, Long Train Home, I think that they really mixed it up on the guitar, and it pays off in their favor big time. The chorus is a huge swell, just a monster that gets knocked out of the park, one of the best songs on this album. I love it when these two vocalists stray back and forth, and we get that on Wildfire, a roaring tune, which I didn't hear before the album came out. It was another one of the singles, but it was just getting ridiculous how many songs were getting dropped. It's like, please, don't forget that we're releasing a deluxe edition. We're going to give you like every song before it comes out. So it's almost pointless to even check it out because all the songs have already been dropped and all the hype is gone. So I didn't want to listen to too many songs, but Wildfire, the first time it came on, I heard that riff and I thought, yes, this screams classic Blink, but at the same time, it's a very, very creative riff. The drumming is fantastic. It really just shapes up the whole tune. Obviously, you know Blink-182 for those drums, and they do not fail you here. And with this track, I feel like they come through with a classic Blink momentum in the lyrical content. It definitely talks about, the weekend, letting go of things that are weighing you down. Let's strike a match and start a wildfire. And then that chorus just erupts. It's a windows down, hands up, good time. The final song I want to talk about today is 6-8, and it's the only song that I haven't mentioned up to this point, and I've been saving one of the best moments for last. It's called 6-8 because it's named after the time signature that it was written in, and like I said earlier, Blink almost always write in 4x4. Here, they've written in 6-8, and it is a very, very charismatic tune. This song just charmed me. I didn't get it on like the first listen, but after that, it really just clicked with me. The chorus is catchy as hell. Learn to swim and Rushing Rivers Hoppus Coos on this one, and it sounds so good. I love the way that Skiba gets in on the backing vocals, really just harmonizes with them, adds a ton of flair to the track, and the way the guitars are on this one, they're kind of stop and start. They're very manic and all over the place. And I will say this about the entire track listing. It's a little bit all over the place and inconsistent, but at the same time, there's a lot of damn great moments that stand out and are going to have you coming back for more and more and more. 6-8 is a very, very smart tune. There's a lot of finesse and character to it. It shapes up the album and is a key moment here. I think this deluxe edition is going to have plenty of replay factor. It's going to be a big hit with the Blink-182 fans, including myself. I don't love everything on this project, but I think it's only fair to give this a 4 out of 5 for California Deluxe Edition by Blink-182. If you've heard California Deluxe, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section down below. Leave a like on the video to let me know that you enjoy seeing the reviews like this on the channel, and if you're able to, support me on Patreon. It's that annotation over there in the corner. If you want to see my top 10 Blink songs or my original California review, click right here. Social media in the description, and I'll see you very soon for more reviews, including the Linkin Park one right here on ARTV.